Okay, and welcome back. We have a new product here to review from Vevor. It's been a while since I have reviewed a product from Vevor, but we got one here, and we actually have two of them actually. There'll be one right after this one. What are we looking at? Believe it or not, this is a chainsaw sharpener. It is a manual hand cranked, there's the hand crank, chainsaw sharpener. And I will demonstrate it in just a second. I just wanted to show what comes in the box. There's the actual box. What was in the bag was this main unit here, and then everything was jammed inside this carrying case, which is empty now. And you have here a bunch of tools and the actual sharpening tip. I think this is what clamps it onto the, well, I'll get into that in a second. And you have the instructions, and it comes with a set of gloves. Now, why a set of gloves? It's because what you're sharpening is sharp. Many times I have sharpened the chainsaw and cut my fingertips, and so I will be wearing these gloves as I demonstrate this. So let's get a chainsaw and start demonstrating this. Here's one. So we'll be using this chainsaw. Get the lizards off of it. And we will demonstrate how to mount it. As you can see, this chainsaw has been out in the elements for a while, and we got to get the rust off of there and sharpen it up to a point again. Let me go get the manual file. I want to show the way you normally do this manually. Of course, there are automated ways to do this. You can use a Dremel. They have tips like this. Where am I? If you can see the tip there, they have tips like that that will mount inside a Dremel, and you can use it that way, and they spin around in a circle. And then there are also bigger chainsaw sharpening machines that look kind of like a miter saw. But we are talking about manual applications, and normally the way you did it manually was with something like this. This is a round file, and what you would do is you would stick it in there just like that, and you would sharpen it that way, very slowly. And I would normally count the number of times that I would go back and forth, and I would give it like 50 or 100 depending on how dull it was, so I wouldn't have to keep track. And then once you get done with one, you move on to the next one. And as you move along, you can pull the chain forward a little bit just with your hands. And what I usually do is I mark the first one with like an ink pen, so I know when I get all the way around the chain, I know that when I'm back to the beginning. But Vevor has come up with a better way to do that with a hand crank, and I'll get this onto the chain so that I can show how it mounts. Okay, so here's a look at the way it's supposed to be mounted on there. And the first thing I want to mention is that it is directional. It has to be on a particular side. Like, for example, you couldn't have it turned around and have the handle on the other side. And I'll show you why. If you look here, this part here, this adjuster here, is what pushes the back of the tooth into the grinding wheel, and that's not going to work on the other side, if you get what I'm saying. And basically what you have are these three tightening knobs, and that's what holds the thing onto the bar. And then you tighten this up a little bit, and probably tighten it up as you go. Like if you turn the crank a little bit and sharpen, then it's going to make up for that gap, and you'll have to tighten it a little bit to make it go over a little farther to sharpen more. And that's exactly what we're going to demonstrate right now. So let me switch to the other camera. It's on the tripod, and we'll show it working. Alright, so that takes care of tooth number 1, and there are lots and lots of them. So now we have to move on to the next one, and some of you might be wondering, why is there another hole over here? And that's because as you go along the chainsaw, the teeth are staggered. They keep changing directions. You can see there, angled this way, angled that way, angled this way, angled that way. So yes, that does mean that every time you move, you have to take the handle out. I'll show that. And so you just have to loosen all this. Take the handle out. Move on to the next one, which actually would be easier to move this way. As you can see, it has a kind of a ratcheting action. It allows you to move, I think it does, to the next one going that way as opposed to this way. So here we're on to the next one there. As you can see, this has to come, the handle goes in the next hole, and you're set. So then you tighten everything down again. You move your camera. And you start sharpening the next one. And of course it's going really effortlessly because it's all brand new and very coarse and sharpening very fast. So that shows it in use on a big chainsaw. Now a curiosity that I have, and I haven't tried this yet, is how does it do on those new little tiny handheld chainsaws? Does it work at all? I think it's about the same size tooth. Let's find out. Okay, so here we go. I know it looks a little silly. The sharpener is just about as big as the whole chainsaw. These are these new handheld chainsaws that are just wonderful, but you know, you use them a lot and you dull them out, and then how do you sharpen them? And here is an option. So I want to, let me get in, I guess that's as close as I can get. I wanted to show the teeth overall are a bit smaller, but the curvature in there does appear to be the same. As you can see, the sharpener locked right in there and it's the right curvature. But this adjuster doesn't go all the way up against the tooth. But it is hooked on something on the track. It doesn't necessarily, don't necessarily have to use that tensioner, because these three down here will hold it in place, and you can kind of loosen and tighten those as you're pushing it up against there. But I do seem to be locked onto something there. So let's give it a try. Okay, so I take that back. It's not quite working because it's not able to grab. This thing here is not able to grab onto anything, and it does need to push up against anything. I wasn't thinking that this is not going to quite hold it in place well enough. Hopefully I showed everything that I tried there. But you need something to make up this gap on these smaller teeth. How close can I get? Well, I can get really close. So as you can see, there's a gap there. In the larger teeth on the larger chainsaw, it was engaging right about back here. But if you try to engage this ratchet onto the back of that tooth, what happens is this runs all the way past the end of its, where it's tapped, and it comes completely off, as you can see here. Doesn't make it far enough. And as it's getting close, it comes all the way off. So it's not for, I mean, it never said that it was for the smaller teeth on these smaller chainsaws. Unless you guys, and I'm just showing everything that I'm finding here. If you can think of something that you can fit in that gap to make up for the distance to push up against there, then you might be able to figure out a way to, a little tiny spacer to make up for that distance. Then you'll be able to sharpen these little chainsaws as well. But as it is, it doesn't quite engage, just so you know. Okay, so wrapping it up, I just wanted to show quickly, this is what I'm talking about, the difference in the size of the teeth. Your normal chainsaw up on top there. Teeth are much bigger on a regular chainsaw. Let's see here. There you go. See there? So that's the problem we're running into. The length of the tooth is much larger as well. And of course this is made for regular chainsaws. And so that's what's happening there. But you know, there might be a way. There might be a way with a spacer. But I just want to wrap this up now. This is not expensive. It's a handy little gadget, and of course, like I was mentioning, it has its carrying case. So now you just pick up all the little toys, you put them back in the case, and then you throw it in your truck for if you need to sharpen up your chainsaw manually while you're out there trimming a tree. So it's pretty neat. It's not expensive. I think it's only around 15 bucks. So go check it out. I'll have the links in the description and in the top pinned comment. And appreciate you watching. Have a good one.